Yeah, welcome back to another episode of the Format Podcast. Yes.
Got it all on there.
And joining us tonight, of course, if you watch the show, you know my man the Transformers with me. But if you go back with me to last college football season, which we have been waiting for with bated breath for quite some time, you see here I have returning former Fighting Illini wide receiver, former Indianapolis Colt wide receiver, former, let's see if I can remember this, Winnipeg Blue Bomber, Ottawa Red Black. What else we got here? We got BC Lion.
Word.
And I think there's one more that always gets past. What's the other one?
Saskatchewan
Rough Rider. There we go.
You got it all. You own it.
There we go.
Man knows this stuff.
There we go. So former Division I, NFL, and Canadian Football League wide receiver Ryan Lankford, the Format Podcast official college football analyst. Ryan, it's so good to see you, man. Welcome back.
Thank you, man. Glad to be back. Glad to be here. Glad we got the Transformer with us.
Hey, man,
Yes,
you know I'm in the building. I think, Bruce, you forgot. I think Ryan was a Laker at one point, man. He got all these accolades, and I think it was a Laker.
Man, if he was on the Laker, he wouldn't be on this show, man.
No, I was not a basketball player at all.
I could have sworn he was a Laker.
Man, y'all Lakers fans want everybody to be Lakers, man. Everybody but Larry Bird and Bill Russell was Lakers to y'all, man.
Everybody but the people that wear green. You right.
Hey, my pastor is a Laker, and hey, he's a great man. He's a great man.
All right. That's enough Laker talk. No, man, Ryan, it's so good to see you, man. It's so good to have you back, and that's a beautiful thing because you being back with us signals the start of the college football season, and it's been a long off season, and we are so happy that football is back. And so we are going to we're going to talk some football tonight. And before we do, you know what time it is. If you're here on YouTube and you haven't already, please make sure you go ahead, click that like, that subscribe, that notification bell. Make sure you're kept up to date whenever we drop new content on the channel. If you want the audio only version of the podcast, open up your audio podcast platform, hit the search bar, type in the Format Podcast, and we should come right up. If you're enjoying the content, make sure you give us that like, that 5-star review, and drop a comment. All that stuff helps us rise in the algorithm, helps us find more sports fans, helps more sports fans find us. And finally, make sure you write it down, put it in your phone, set an alarm, do whatever you got to do to remember. Saturday nights at 7 p.m. we are live here on the Format Podcast, and we'll give you the opportunity to call in, talk to us, get at me. I love it. I can't wait. PM. Although I will say this. Right. This Saturday night at 7, there will not be a live show. Reason being, Notre Dame is playing in the primetime game against the Texas A&M Aggies in their season opener, and that's going to be crazy. So I don't even know how I could watch that show and attempt to talk to y'all and keep my sanity. So, we're going to I don't know. We're gonna do the show either maybe Friday or Sunday or something like that, but we'll get back to it. But yeah, make sure you do all those things. And all right, let's get right to it, man. Let's get right to it. So, Ryan, you know, like I said, it's really good to have you back, and we got some pretty interesting topics here on the thumbnail, man. So, first one I wanted to get into. I know a lot of people are looking like, what is he talking about? Ryan's memories, and we know that you got a store full of memories. You've been through a lot in terms of the football world that many of us can't dream of or conceive of. And what kind of got to me, and as I was watching week 0 last weekend and seeing the first college game day of the season and all that, I thought about it, and I was wondering, like, I wonder what it's like mentality wise and feeling wise, you know, when you're a player and your new season is starting and you're getting ready to go into your first week or your first game or what have you. And I was like, wait a minute, I can ask Ryan about that, you know? So let's start with it. First, you were kind of telling us before we hit the button here and started recording, how did you end up with number 12? That's an unusual, especially when you were playing, that was an unusual number for a wide receiver. How'd you end up with that?
Yeah, well, the number that I originally had was more unusual for a wide receiver. It was 22 or 20 around that. And I was nervous because I thought they were trying to make me a defensive back. And I was like, nah, I'm not trying to play DB. We're not having that. So my philosophy was I got to figure out something. And the player, Terry Hawthorne, he had just or was in the process of switching his number from 12 to number 1. We had a similar body type, similar frame. He kind of took me under his wing. He was like, hey, man, like, yo, there's a chance that I'm going to be switching my number. You can go as Zook for number 12. And I
Mm. When you say Zook, who's Zook for those of
Ron
who,
Zook. Yeah, so
those who
Ron
don't know?
Zook, he was it was my freshman year there, would have been 2010.
Okay.
Let's not age ourselves on live on this.
Zook was
Let's
man.
not
Listen,
age
I'm gonna keep it real with people. That's it.
Yeah, listen,
That's when
don't worry
Zook was
about it,
only there
Ryan.
for so many years. I wasn't with the Rose Bowl team. I came in
Okay.
right after that. So
Okay.
Illinois was rocking. Juice had just left. Mendenhall had just rolled. We was we still are. But we gonna get to that later on. But so
Okay.
Zook was there, and he brought me up there, and basically I asked, I was like, hey, could I switch my number? I'm a little nervous, not nervous, but y'all trying to make me a DB? Like, what's up? Tell me the truth. He was like, man, you want to switch? I'll give it to you, but you got to earn it, kind of thing. And I was able to earn it and kind of make myself into that number 12. So it worked out. So shout out to Zook and shout out to Terry Hawthorne who gave me the opportunity.
There you go. And so you ended up number 12. And coincidentally, we're going to talk about Michigan in the second topic. And your first ever touchdown catch in Division I was at the Big House against the Wolverines. So, I'm sure that was an amazing memory.
Yeah.
So let's kind of get into a little bit. Give us your, what was your mindset like, I guess, obviously as a true freshman going into your first season and your first game. And then, of course, after that, each season as the new season was beginning, because we're seeing it's new season time now. So we're wondering, like, what does that feel like? What are you thinking going into the season? Talk to us a little bit about that.
You're excited. The biggest thing for us was we were excited to get back to campus. I mean, we went to Camp Rantoul, which was kind of this remote area, a few hours off of campus from Champaign. There's nothing out there but a very small town, this one water park that we would go to. So we were very secluded. Guys obviously missing their significant others and things like that. So it was camp. So getting back to campus with the excitement of like, hey, the season's about to start and we're about to get through to this. And there's teammates that are going to the NFL. So like that opportunity is going to happen to some of us in this locker room if we can do what we need to do and win what we need to win. So that was always exciting. And then just ready to kind of get in front of people and make plays. And you got your friends at home. I had everyone back in Jacksonville, text me from Paxton, like, yo, we see you on ESPN, bro. And like, we knew it was going to happen. Like that kind of stuff was cool. That motivated me to kind of keep going. But there's jitters, there's anxiousness, you're just kind of ready to get things going. And when it happens, it's showtime.
No doubt. That's awesome. I can't imagine what that must be like. Hey, Transformer, man. Let me ask you, how do you think that Florida State was feeling going into the game last week? Obviously,
So we were having a good moment here, just going over. We were going over Ryan's memories and how number 12 and preparation for collegiate camp and football. And then we had to get entirely disrespectful, you guys. So I apologize about that. But I'm going to go ahead and answer the question nonetheless. Man, we were sightseeing. Them folks out there touring. All right. They was making sure they was getting all the sweet spots. Okay.
Right.
They came out there to try the food. Right? The atmosphere, the elevation of the scenery, because Florida ain't got no elevation. So the elevation of the mountains and tripping and because by the time they got on the field, it was like, oh, you're looking in the stands instead of looking at the guy running the ball that's running over the defensive line. So, I would say we didn't have anything of the attitude or mindset that Ryan was talking about going into the collegiate season, and that's coming from an old fan. So guys who don't agree with this take, you can take that to the bank that we wasn't ready.
Yeah, no doubt. But you know what, though? I think, and not to digress too far, but obviously I'm not a Seminoles fan, but I do believe that maybe a sleeping giant got woken up this past week. And I think that going forward, you're probably going to see the best of Florida State, even though there's a little more room now with the 12-team playoff. One loss doesn't end your career and your season, so to speak.
And we got it out of early. We got it in there early.
Championship. Right.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Yeah, Ryan. So, man, that's really cool. So, give us. Let's see. We talked about obviously your first ever touchdown in the Big House. What's another major memory that you have from playing college football?
So the Texas Bowl. So my freshman year, we start the season 6-0. We're thinking we going to the national championship. If we're not going to the national championship, we going to a big time bowl game.
Right.
We getting all the gifts, and then boom, it just flips. We lose 6 straight. We still basically, and this is Zook's last year, we basically get into a bowl game, which is the Texas Bowl, and just actually, no, Texas Bowl was freshman year. So I take it back. That was the second year that we lost 6 and went to the next game. But freshman year, we went to the Texas Bowl. We dominated. Arguably dominated them boys in Baylor. And that was just exciting because it was a big stage. It was the first time really going to a neutral bowl site and playing. We went to Houston, Texas. We played in the Texan Stadium, and it was like, man, like, I'm close. I'm right where I need to be. You know, my first collegiate game when we played Missouri, that I actually dressed for, we were in St. Louis when the Rams were still there. So we played in the Dome, and I was like, dang, like, we out here. Because from Paxson, I mean, we're not the best football school, right? But being able to have those experiences was priceless for me.
I hear that. So that said, I think you kind of led into it. What would you say was the most amazing arena you played in, or the one you enjoyed the most? I know being in the Big Ten, you get to play in some of the most iconic venues in college football. What would you say stands out to you the most, or what did you enjoy?
Big House obviously is awesome historically. Penn State was probably one of my favorite places.
I can imagine the atmosphere in Penn State.
White out, super loud. My dad went to Penn State, so that was cool. We played in a snow game one year, which was incredible. I mean, we lost by a field goal. We kicked field goal and missed it. But it was just the atmosphere, you know, it's shaking in there, kind of looked like a spaceship. I don't remember who said it to me my freshman year. They were like, hey, have you been here before? I was like, nah, my freshman year. He's like, yo, it looks like a spaceship. I was like, what? And then he pulled up and looked in Happy Valley. I was like, dang, like, that is like a spaceship. Like, that's crazy. But it's cool. It's cool. Penn State was probably by far one of the coolest places to play.
Yeah. So real quick, let me ask you, and then I'll turn it over to the Transformer. What's it like being, you mentioned it's no game, right? So being a wide receiver, obviously so much of your game depends on being a technician in and out of your cuts, running your routes properly, being where you need to be when the ball is coming to you. How difficult is that in the snow? Are there cleats that really make that easier to deal with? Tell us a little bit about that.
It's difficult. There's no real way. You just got to deal with the elements. It's part of it. You got to keep in mind that the opposite team is playing in the exact same elements that you are. But, you know, at the same time, those elements have an effect on you. Later on in my career, when I was playing in the CFL, when I was a returner, those weather effects didn't always affect me as a receiver because of the way that I was catching the ball. Catching punts and catching kicks, you know, I was using more body catches. Whereas if you're a receiver running routes, sometimes if you got to stretch those hands out and your hands are brick solid and the balls, you know, that's a harder catch for people. But everyone tolerates temperature different. I was from Florida. In my opinion, you never get used to playing in the cold. Like, I'm sorry, it's cold. If it's cold out there, it's cold out there, and you never like, oh, I couldn't. It's cold. It's cold out there, and that's just what it is. I'm not gonna be out here like, hey man, it's not that. Yeah, it's cold when you first run out. The adrenaline's pumping, but it gets cold out there. But later on in Canada, being able to catch punts and kicks rather than running routes and stuff that can affect you. So, but yeah, the weather's a big thing. In Penn State, it got there. It got rough sometimes.
Okay, what you got, Transformer?
No, man. First of all, yeah, cold hands. You throw a fastball, football, baseball, whatever you care. It hit your hands, you're going to feel it. You're going to feel it, man. Somebody got a hard high five, you're going to feel that until tomorrow.
That's true.
What I mean? But no, my biggest question is, I mean, we're talking a lot about, you know, you made it to the highest level of football, whether it be D1 to the NFL, to the CFL. What would be your biggest piece of advice you would give for future generational players, younger players that are coming up in the league?
I think the biggest advice would be control what you can control. And I think it changes a little bit more now that money is being involved. You got to be a little bit more of a business person. Whereas in my mind, I didn't become a business person until I was done playing college football and I could actually feel like I could talk to agents. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But there's a different mindset on the business side of things. But control what you can control. You know, control your effort, control your mindset, control studying the playbook. They can't not play you if you know what you're doing. You know what I mean? So be a plug and play guy. If you're on the offense, know all the positions. Know the playbook as if you're a quarterback. On the defense, know the playbook as if you're the middle linebacker, the play caller. Know everyone's assignment because that'll improve your chances of being on the field. And then get on special teams. That's the easiest way to play.
Yeah, get on special teams.
You know what I'm saying? Get on special teams. But start there and learn the game, learn the playbook, know why they're doing things. And that would be my advice. Control what you can control with your effort, your mindset, and studying the game of football.
Exactly. I mean, these kids these days, they don't even know how to spell study. So I would definitely encourage them to, first of all, look up the word study in the Webster Dictionary, or you guys got Google, internet's all over the place. But no, man, I love that because kids these days, they need that type of advice. I think everybody just looks at film and think that they can just do it too because they see it on the screen, they see it on a tablet or whatever the case may be. But it's those little nuances of being a player, like, hey, get on special teams, like, you're one of 1,000 trying to get this spot right now.
Dennis Sharp will tell you that.
Yeah, the likelihood of you getting that spot is slim to none. So do the little things, stress about the little things, like really work on those, and it definitely develops you into a better player, better individual. And those coaches do see that. They do see you putting in that grit, that groundwork. And when it's time, when your number's called, hey, number 12, you up.
It's like, hey. I think doing your best is ultimately too. Like I really try not to get into the politics. I try to just play. Like that's what ultimately got us started in the first place because we love the sport. And I try to keep that brotherhood, that camaraderie, and just play. Just don't forget why you're doing what you're doing. You know what I'm saying? The money all that will come, but keep the passion and learn as you're going so you can perform at the highest level.
Oh man, I love it.
I think, Ryan, to that point, though, and not to get into a sermon or anything, but I think, and you mentioned it, because the money is so big so early now, it's a lot harder to, truly play and love the game because you're introduced to the business at such an earlier time in your football development, right? And basketball as well. But I think that makes it more difficult for guys to truly just love what they're doing. I think, like, obviously, the great ones will be compensated, and the harder you work, the more you'll be compensated. But it's like, I always talk about how on the basketball side, you look at guys who come into the league now, a little less on football, but you still see it. You look at guys coming into the league and they're so concerned about building a brand and doing this and doing that. And I'm thinking, man, this some transformer tells me all the time. He's like, these cats now, they don't think like you thought and the guys thought when you were coming up.
Right.
And, I'm 45 years old, so I kind of get that, right? And it's interesting because when I was coming up, when the whole focus was master your craft. And if you master your craft, everything else is going to fall into place. Everything else comes, right? But now, and it's not just the kids' fault either, right? It's sponsors and all that. Before they decide they're going to sponsor you, it's not necessarily about how good you are. It's how many social media followers you got.
Yep,
right,
exactly.
Right, Transformer, exactly. So, it's more, it's almost reverse now. It's like, build that brand, and then we'll hook you up and we'll sign you or whatever, instead of master your craft and then the brand will be built on that. It's a really strange thing, but this is the society we have, right? I can't necessarily denigrate, not completely. I can't denigrate them because they are taught differently and grow up differently than we did. So,
Right. Yeah, I couldn't imagine. I mean, we got our scholarship checks, right? That was part of the deal. Like, you're on scholarship, so you get that money, you pay your rent, your books, all that kind of stuff. Like, I couldn't imagine all these I couldn't imagine the type of stuff that happens now at the collegiate level, let alone being in high school. Like, them coming to me at PAX and saying, hey, we got boom, 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 boom. Like, I was working at Smoothie King. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was working, I was doing something like that. Like, I couldn't imagine how that would be. That's just, it's a different landscape. It's a different game. And I think, honestly, it's on the parents now more so than ever, right? My parents,
Yeah.
and I'm so thankful for both my parents, my mom and my dad. My dad played for football for a while, and my mom is a teacher. But my mom was, really on top of me with a lot of my stuff, like applying for schools. Even though I knew in my heart I was going to get a scholarship, like she was like, "No, we applying for schools. We doing this. We doing all these things." So now that the money has shifted, if you will, it's on the parents now. The parents really want to be on top of things and saying, "Hey, you making X amount of money. Let's be smart with this money. Let's put it here. Let's do this. Let's try to do things that are going to benefit you, so you can just not play the game and don't have to worry about all these distractions. So you can get, in turn, even more money in the long run, right?"
Yeah. Hopefully. I think that unfortunately a lot of kids aren't as blessed to come from the type of background that you did. So, but
and it's tough because they don't teach that in most school systems these days.
No, they don't.
Especially if you look at your more rural areas or your urban areas, they don't teach you finance in high school. Your senior year, you're learning that all off the dime. So if you came up poor or off Section 8, you don't know anything from $100 bill to $1,000. When you see $1 million offer on an NIL deal, you're like,
I'm there. Give me that. I need it.
Right.
Man, what you need me to do? You know what I mean? So, and then they get it, and all they think is about social media. What's on social media? Right. The fancy car, the fancy house, pop the bottles, get the chain, get the gold. You know what I mean? So by the time they actually get a game check, or they was like after taxes and all that, that's the stuff that they don't know about. So I do feel if that system is not in place when it comes from the parents and it comes from the school systems and stuff like that they grew up in, especially in those urban type areas where we come from, they're in trouble. They're definitely in trouble. You know what I mean? Because that's just going to create more chaos. You even see grown men in the NFL. You hear these stories all the time saying how these rookies came in not knowing the expectation and thinking that $20 million bonus that you just got off the signing bonus is $20 million. Now it's actually $10 million, and you're gonna get that over a period of time. Then you got to pay your agent. You got to pay this guy. You got to pay that guy. So you're literally looking at about $7-8 million, and you already spent mentally 15 of it. You know what I mean? So I do think that's a big thing. That's a big thing, and hopefully we get it together. I think we reaching out in the communities. Guys like Ryan going out, doing what he's doing, and speaking at these camps and things like that. What Bruce does on a podcast and is able to put a point of view out there. Hopefully that reaches a lot of these kids these days, coming up and understand you need that. You're definitely gonna need that.
The last thing I'll say about that is, at least on the collegiate level, it's my opinion that if a player is receiving NIL, or it's going to get to a point where it's pay for play because the NCAA they got beat in their case, so now pay for play is going to be allowed. So if that player is receiving money, then I think it should be mandatory that they take financial literacy courses.
Oh, absolutely.
It's not going to be, because if they blow the money, they just put it back in the system, right? No one cares about most of these players and the money. Pay them, they're going to turn around and give it right back to us one way or another, right? But it should be mandatory that they take some financial literacy courses, because I'll say I came from a pretty good environment, but I can't imagine somebody giving me a check for $1 million when I'm 18 years old. I can't imagine what I would have done. I probably would have blown it. I wasn't smart with it,
And I even think it's deeper than when you get the money. It's just the principle of there's nothing bad about having financial literacy. Like
nothing at all. No.
You know what I mean? Like it's not like a skill that's like, man, I wish I didn't know how to manage my money. Like it's not
spend it all.
You know what I'm saying? Like it's not a bad tool to know a little bit about, at least.
No, I agree.
I think a lot of times how that goes is that you don't even realize that you don't know what you don't know in that situation. You know what I mean? So there's that.
That's a great point.
Yeah. So, all right. Good way to start the show. Let's do this now. Let's go ahead and move to our second topic, since we're not doing a live show today. Kind of weird. I missed that.
Right? I can't do the call in.
Let's open up the phone lines.
Yeah, man. 904-219-8264. But since we're not live, we're not going to do it today. But I just did it anyway. Right, go ahead and make it play.
Man, you crazy, Transform. You crazy.
I'm saying, man, we're gonna get you on a Disney movie or something, bro. You're gonna be the
There you
voiceover of the next Mufasa on Lion King.
I'm working on it, man.
You're doing something, man. We're gonna get you.
Working
We're
on
gonna get you there, bro.
Oh man. All right, let's go to the second topic we got here, and that is one of the biggest stories in college football right now. So the season just started. We're thinking about a 12-team playoff. We got a lot of big games and all that stuff going on. But what's really happening is, well, not what's really happening. One of the biggest stories is actually kind of a holdover from last season. So obviously last year, what was it? Michigan Wolverines went 15-0, won the national championship, Jim Harbaugh. But that was kind of mired in scandal with the whole Connor Stallions sign stealing thing. And then also, what did they call it? Burgergate, supposedly recruiting violations during the COVID dead period.
Yeah.
Jim Harbaugh allegedly bought some kid a cheeseburger, and that was a big deal. And then it was a bigger deal because I guess he didn't want to play ball with the NCAA because, you know, Jim Harbaugh pretty much marches to the beat of his own drum, right? And so that became a thing. And then obviously the sign stealing thing became huge, which is coincidental that the notice of allegations that the NCAA sent out to Michigan, today was the day, and it perfectly coincided with the release of what is that? I can't remember the name of it, but basically the Connor Stallions documentary on Netflix, which I watched a little earlier today. It was interesting. But yeah, so so we started with you last time, Ryan. Let's start with the Transformer, man. What do you think of this whole Michigan sign stealing thing? I think it's much ado about
honestly,
nothing, but it's, you know,
sign stealing has been going on for so long. I mean, you look at it at high school games, if they're doing signs, if you look at it at collegiate level, you're not trying to win if you're not trying to know what they calling on the other side. I'm gonna just say it like that. You're not trying to win. I mean, at this point, what are my scouts doing? What is my other coaches in the back doing? What are my scouts doing in the stands? What are y'all paying attention to? I don't need y'all to look at number 12, go out here and catch the ball. I need you to go out here and look at the other side of the field. There's a Cheeto, there's a dragon, there's a snake, and there's a basketball. Know what that sign means, because I need to know that play call.
Yes.
I need to understand when I see that on the sideline, 12 knows, okay, it's about to be press coverage. He might want to be able to abort mission and get out of there real fast. So honestly, man, I just don't like it, man. We know that happens, but I guess it's one of those things, like, if you don't know, if it's not being proven, then we can't do anything about it. But once we catch somebody and there's, you know, validity to it, then we got to make an example out of it. So I mean, I just don't like it, man. I don't. I
agree. Ryan?
Yeah, definitely. I think the make an example thing, I'm kind of over it. I've really stopped following it as closely. You know, now with, you know, Illinois' first games on Thursday, you know, the games are starting this weekend. It's like, all right, I've kind of that was last year and that. And at this point, it's a new season. So I've kind of left it last year.
Yeah,
because that's where it belongs.
Right.
So yeah, but so this is, to me, is the crazy part, right? So you allegedly got these violations going on, and now they sent out the notice of allegations. Michigan has 90 days to respond. It's like, how long are you going to drag this out? Because what I look at with this, let's just say, for the sake of saying, I'm not saying it, let's say Michigan is found to be guilty. Okay, cool. Does that change the fact that everybody who loves college football or knows anything about college football watch them go out on the field and win the championship? Okay, fine. You let's say you make them vacate the championship. All right, they vacate the championship, but we still watch them physically go out there and win it. We watched them beat resident big boy Alabama. We watched them go out and beat Michael Penix and his crazy crew of weapons and win the championship. So, like, you can't unring a bell, right? Guys, fans are not going to unsee that happen, right?
Just like Reggie Bush's Heisman.
Say again?
Just like Reggie Bush's Heisman.
Exactly.
We saw what he was.
Exactly. So you can say, oh, you take it away. All right, cool. But we watched it happen. We also watched, excuse me, Connor Stallions get removed from the program. Okay, so that was that. Then we watched Jim Harbaugh get suspended. That was that. And we watched, while all that was happening, Michigan continued to roll on and punish people and then win a national championship. Like, none of that is going to change. And here's the big one. We know how much money these teams get for making the college football playoff and then winning a championship. If you really want to hurt them, make them give back the money, but they're not going to do that. So what is the point of all this nonsense?
That money's spent already, bro.
The money's spent. So what is the point?
You can't take nothing. I ain't got no more.
You know what I'm saying? And now here's the other thing I'm thinking about. So when all this stuff started happening, then you're hearing the other Big Ten schools saying, well, we felt like this was happening for quite some time. Oh, okay, cool. So what happened to counterintelligence? Why didn't you change your signals? Why didn't you use those signals that they had scouted out as dummy signals to confuse the Michigan defense and offense? Like, why didn't y'all do your part? Oh, they were cheating. They stole our signals. Okay, change them. Like, what are we doing? You know they stole the signals, but you're going to continue to use the same ones. Like, that's not very bright. I don't understand it. Like, what are we doing here? I don't get it. And again, it seems like the only people that really care about this and Notre Dame fans, because you got the Notre Dame-Michigan rivalry, and Ohio State fans. No one else really cares. No one else does. Come on, man.
I definitely didn't.
Yeah, it's like, whatever, man. But
it is what it is what it is. Like,
it is what it
like
is.
The folks that been here who've studied the game, who watched the game, we know. Like, it's things that you don't know, you're not supposed to know, but you're like, okay, I know. Yeah. Somebody's up there in them stands stealing them signs. Okay. What do you think Nick been doing all these years, winning 7 national championship games? Okay. Right. Nick getting every way possible. Not only do I get the best recruits because I know I can do what I do because I've been doing it for so long, for 2 decades, to bring these kids in. Oh, not only that, I need to know your signs too. Yeah, go ahead and bring them signs over here. What does that apple mean? What is the apple with the orange? And then there's a vine with a snake. All right. Why is that snake hovering over the bush instead of a tree?
Right,
you know?
Right.
I need to know that.
Right.
I need to know that. So, nah, man. Like Ryan said, I'm over it. It's something that we've known has happened, but they just got to make an example out of somebody. Man.
No doubt. It's a major story in college football, though, and I think maybe they're saying, yeah, everybody steals signs, but the length that Connor Stalions and other people involved with him allegedly went to do it is like beyond the pale. But my thing is this. Again, here's another thing, right? There was a picture, I guess he showed up on the Central Michigan sideline, like literally on the sideline in the midst of their coaches and players. So guess what? Don't blame Michigan for that. Blame Central Michigan. How the hell you just got random people just walking around on your sideline figuring out what's going on? Like who is this guy? Some random dude I've never seen before. Is just walking around among my team and among my coaches on the sideline during the game. How does that happen? Personal responsibility, people. Like, that's ridiculous.
Question: do you think like the length of like how they're dragging this on, making it a big scene, that they're literally just trying to bring awareness to like, all right, man, y'all better fix this because now
I think so.
The gig is up. We know that we've been doing this. We know that y'all been doing this, but now that we got proof that y'all been doing this, we're literally looking for y'all to continue doing this, and the repercussions is just going to come a little bit worse every single time. I think this is more of like the league just saying like, hey, all right, we got proof now. Fix it, or else. I kind of think that's what it is.
Yeah, I could see that. Like I said, I'm ready for them to either end it, finalize it, or we'll talk about something else. It might be just one of those stories that are just here and there.
I'm glad that it's taking a little attention off of Florida State as well. So I'm glad.
I think part of it too is that the NCAA at this point knows it's kind of a quote unquote toothless tiger, and so they're trying to show that they still have some power when they really don't, and they're losing these court cases left and right, and so they're trying to show, hey, we can still do something. You still got to listen to us, which. It's like really stupid. I think they gave Harbaugh like a 4-year show cause if he ever returns to college and all this. And I'm like, just stop, man. Harbaugh is not thinking about that right now. And I'm sure if he goes back to college, he'll get a good lawyer and beat that anyway. Because that's all the NCAA does is losing these cases in court. So it's absurd. Yeah, I think it's a 4-year show cause because you got the level 1 and 2 violations. You got the spying violations, and you got the recruiting violations during that COVID dead period. It's
so 4 years. I mean, his contract in San Diego, not San Diego, Los Angeles.
Los Angeles.
4 years, isn't it?
4 or 5 years, yeah.
Yeah, so he good. He's straight.
Yeah.
He'll stick out.
But I would assume that that's 4 years after whenever he gets back to college. Because if that was the case and he decides he wants to go back to college, all he would have to do theoretically is wait for that 4-year period to pass, right? So that wouldn't be anything.
So he'll have to announce that he's coming back.
That's how I believe it works. That's why, yes.
Now, would you be able to announce you're coming back, let the time start, and then I just bring my
job, go back to the league?
Right. I think it would probably have to be from whatever time he gets a job in college. It's
so you're going to force him to sit on the couch. Like you can't.
That's what I think.
Wow. I think that's against the law, but whatever. I think that's against the law.
I'm sure he would be able to beat that case, man. NCAA, they got the worst lawyers because they keep losing in court. So I'm sure Harbaugh could beat that case, man. It's crazy. It's crazy.
One of his Super Bowl or something.
Yeah,
so he can do something like that.
But at the end of the day, man, like we said, they won the championship. Everybody saw it. You can't unring a bell, no matter how you feel about it. And if you're Ohio State, it's even worse. But we'll see. Kyrie is he's hurting over this. For those of y'all that don't know, that's our friend Kyrie, and he is a diehard Buckeye fan, and he's hurting.
Is Kyrie a Buckeye?
Oh yeah, he's an Ohio guy through and through. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, you know what? You're right. He did text me. Yep, that's right.
We were texting about it yesterday. Yeah, I'll tell you about that offline. But so this is the deal with Michigan now, and now Michigan has 90 days to respond, and we'll find out again. That 90 days is almost at the end of the college football season. So again, what's the point? I don't know.
We will see.
Yeah, we will see.
They're gonna implement a repercussion back in 2031 or something like that.
Yeah, right. Some nonsense.
Yeah.
All right, moving on from Michigan and the sign stealing nonsense. Hopefully, next time we talk about Michigan, we're actually talking about football in regards to them. So next topic, I wanted to kind of get into coaches on the radar this year. That's not necessarily on the hot seat, but coaches in big name situations where people are really going to be watching them to see what they do and see how it goes. And you can see by the thumbnail, these are the ones that immediately came to mind for me. Obviously, Notre Dame's Marcus Freeman. This is his 3rd year as head coach, and all the warm and fuzzies are gone. You got to do something this year, and making the playoff is kind of likely what needs to happen, especially Notre Dame doesn't have a particularly daunting schedule this season. They open up at A&M Saturday night, as I mentioned. They've got Florida State and they've got USC. Those are the 3 toughest games on the schedule. And realistically, at this point, we're not sure what Florida State and USC will be by the time Notre Dame gets to them, or vice versa. So, there's Marcus Freeman there. Obviously, Kirby Smart, already, a 2-time national champion at Georgia. 2-time, right? Yes, 2-time, back-to-back national champion at Georgia. Dan Lanning, who built up, not built up, but kind of rebuilt Oregon after, what's my man's name? Willie Taggart left, I guess was fired from there. And so he's the guy there, really built Oregon into kind of like an SEC West type program in terms of the bodies they have and the way they play ball. Of course, Coach Prime out in Colorado, joining the Big 12 this year. That's a big one. Steve Sarkisian at Texas. Texas is finally back, right? They made the college football playoff last year, and they're expected to repeat that. And finally, Kalen DeBoer at Alabama, one of the best head coaches in the country. And obviously, he has to step into the shoes of a legend there for the Crimson Tide. So we'll start with you, Ryan. Out of these coaches, who do you think kind of needs to have a big year more, or the most, I guess? And as well, maybe there's a coach that I missed that comes to mind for you.
Who needs to have the big year the most out of that group?
Yeah.
I would really say, that's a good one. I think
that is a very good one.
There's different ways, because there's different reasons why I'm kind of like, I think there's a lot of eyes on Georgia. People want to, is Georgia really, really Georgia? And they kind of want to see how they're going to react to how last year ended for them. I think people want to see that. I think people.
And are they gonna take over now that Alabama is presumably going to take a step back without Saban?
Well, and that's why my next one is Alabama. We're a big Alabama household. My girl's from Alabama, so we're trying to see what is that going to look like. Now it's the same players, but different coaching. I've been a part of a team where, you get a new head coach and sometimes things change, but Alabama's historically been a great team. And I think they can still pick up and roll. Once you catch fire, you can roll. Interested to see how Florida State's going to respond too, because that was a heartbreaker.
Unexpected.
But honestly,
It was.
When you look at the game, it wasn't too bad. There was no turnovers. I mean, time of possession was split pretty much right down the middle. Like it really came down to
define bad, because from a fan's perspective, it was looking awful.
Okay.
For our defensive line, they literally look like Michigan running the ball.
Well, Georgia Tech has some players.
Okay.
Georgia Tech has some players. I mean, and I'm not saying that they didn't. Like, Georgia Tech really came out to play, and eyes are on Georgia Tech also, because that was an impressive showing by Georgia Tech. For Florida State to get the ball, first drive of college football, drive down, score a touchdown, and go for 2, and then Georgia Tech to do the same thing and score a touchdown and then win. That's strong. That's strong.
So did y'all know that Georgia Tech had the #1 rushing offense in the ACC last year? I did not know that.
I told you that. I told you that on the pod last time.
I didn't know. I wouldn't own it. I wouldn't own it.
It showed up on because when we scored and we got the 2-point conversion, Georgia Tech came back down and they scored. Right. And then after that, they showed it on the screen. I was like, they were #1 in yards in the ACC. I was like, no, what?
Yeah,
then I'm like, nothing. It makes sense why they run all over us. I mean, we couldn't stop nothing. Quarterback got 70 yards. Running back got 60 yards. Second string running back got 60 yards. I'm like, okay, man. The coach got 40 yards. I think a cheerleader came on there and got 12 yards. A fan came down, got a first down. I'm like, yo, what's going on, man? We just don't want to stop. No, all my defensive linemen looking up at the sky and like, oh man, there's some good scenery out here. Oh, the player's on. Like, come on, man, wake up.
Yeah. They'll get them first game jitteries, and don't forget too. I want to say Florida's like they weren't in Tallahassee. They weren't playing in Tallahassee, and they weren't playing in Georgia. They was playing across the country. There was a lot of
distractions.
This is not a normal game week of football that you've prepared for.
Yeah.
This, you know what I'm saying? So I'm also keeping that in mind as a former athlete. Like that type of stuff comes into play where you gotta fly across the country. You know,
I was about to say, how much does that affect you?
It does. So for example, let's say like when I was in the CFL, we played in Vancouver. If I was in BC, let's say we're playing Montreal. That's all the way across the country. And we weren't flying private, so we're flying, Delta or whatever. So we're going, or Air Canada or whatever. So we're going a day or two before, practicing out there, trying to get on the, acclimated to the time, playing, and then sometimes coming back. Or if we got another game that's on the East Coast the following week or a few days later, sometimes you stay out there. So little things like that come into play. And so the time change and that stuff's going to affect it, which is going to be interesting. How the Big Ten looks, Oregon's coming down, like that stuff. It's going to be interesting. Washington,
USD,
Yep.
No, that makes sense because that's why they got rid of they were mad at the Jags schedule last year. Remember, the Jags had the back-to-back games over there overseas, and they were like, "Yo, how they acclimated, they good over there." So the team coming in is obviously at a disadvantage. Yeah, because now they got to fly. They got to fly over. That's a 15 to 16-hour flight. Like Ryan said, get acclimated, time change, schedule, getting up. The change of scenery, like the feel. Like Jacksonville already had the feel for 2 weeks. So to them, they like, oh man, we good now. We waiting on them to pull up. You know what I mean? So I could see that being a problem. But again, no excuses, man. Florida State lost. They got their teeth punched in. And like I said, hopefully they looked at that game and was like, yo, all right, y'all, we good?
It's time.
We good? We got it out the way?
I give you a hard time about it, but I think they're going to be just fine. And, wake up call. And now they realize maybe it's not sweet. Now we got to go out here and we got to show them who the Knowles are.
And they still a little salty from last year too. So they still, I think they're gonna rock. Honestly, I do.
I thought so as well.
I think they're gonna do.
Transformer. What coaches you see kind of maybe feeling some pressure or that we're going to be watching a lot?
Obviously, the biggest one is going to be Bama. I mean,
is it really though?
You're replacing the GOAT. I mean,
but that's exactly why it shouldn't be.
But there's always going to be like the expectation from a fan standpoint, from a viewership standpoint, from a media standpoint. Alabama's been the pinnacle of.
But that's not bright. That's not smart. Think about it. They always say you don't want to be the guy who follows the guy, right?
You want to be the guy that follows the guy that follows the guy.
Right. And Kalen DeBoer is an outstanding coach, no question. But when you're following the greatest of all time, that's like Michael Jordan retires and I'm now the starting shooting guard of the Chicago Bulls. Or LeBron retires and I'm now the starting small forward of the Los Angeles Lakers, right? That's who's really expecting me to step in and do what those guys are doing. You know what I mean?
Roll Tide fans.
No, listen,
when you get accustomed to something, that's, for example, I'm a Laker fan. I'm a Laker fan, right?
Mm-hmm.
No matter who we get, every big star, no matter what kind of star you were in your previous team, we want titles. We want to get back to the promised land.
Right.
Alabama they're that now, bro. They're like, oh man, look, man, what is he doing? What is he doing? What is he doing? We're supposed to be 12-1, if not 13-0 every season. They expect that, man. I know to me, that's a lot of pressure, bro. I mean, that's a lot of pressure. You're following up Nick Saban, and you're like, okay, I give myself 6 weeks, but I keep this job. So let me make the best of it as I can.
So I guess for me, the biggest questions about Alabama are not so much can they still be good? Because again, Kalen DeBoer, he's an outstanding head coach. I think he's like 104-12 as a head coach in his career. Like he's really, really good. But again, you're following the GOAT, arguably the GOAT. And then on top of that, you don't have your OC with you, Ryan Grubb. He was supposed to come down with him from Washington, and he was on the way. Then the Seattle Seahawks turned around and offered him the OC job. So, you get an opportunity in the NFL, you're going to take that. So there's that. So I guess my question is now we're going to see if he's going to be able to work with and develop Jalen Milroe. And that's going to be, I think, the key. So we'll see. I think realistically, maybe it's because I'm not a Bama fan, but realistically, I'm thinking like you got to give Kalen DeBoer a year or two. Like he can't come in and be Coach Saban. He can't. Now there's a lot of good things in place, and maybe a smart coach is going to say, well, I'm going to keep some of these systems, but then I got to implement some of mine, and maybe I'm going to kind of make an amalgam of some other ones. But only an idiot would expect him to come in and be Coach Saban, but fan is short for fanatic, right? So there's that. Sure. But I can't imagine that you would expect that. It just doesn't seem very smart to me. Now, he also comes in at a perfect time with a 12-team playoff. He's got a very good opportunity to still get there. So, yes, championship is the expectation in Tuscaloosa, but I think you get to the playoff and maybe you win a first game or maybe even a first and a second game, and you'll be okay. Like that'll buy you some time. That's my thought. So I don't think that he's necessarily in too pressure-packed a situation. Texas is back, and I think Sarkisian has kind of loaded up that roster. But, it's his first year in the SEC, and they've got they don't have the easiest schedule. So, I think that's going to be okay. I think they got Georgia at Texas. That's going to be a really good game. Looking forward to that one. But and he's done a really good job of building that team roster-wise in an SEC mold from the time he took over at Texas. So very impressed with that. So I'm not too concerned about that. Dan Lanning, I think he's going to do really well in the Big Ten. Oregon is in really good shape. I think they're going to be just fine. They've got a really good quarterback, Dylan Gabriel. I've been watching him since UCF. Actually covered him a little bit at UCF. That was pretty cool. And then we saw him do his thing at Oklahoma, and now he's one of the Heisman Trophy frontrunners at Oregon. So I think they'll be just fine. They're very good, very strong in the trenches. So here comes my bias, but I think Marcus Freeman and Coach Prime are the two ones that I think really need to have good seasons, right? So Coach Prime, with everything that's going on with him in terms of the whole media fracas out there in Colorado and all of that. But they went from one win to 4 wins last season. And I think if they can get up to 7 or 8 wins, and I said it last year that the Big 12 is wide open. And when I said it, I forgot about Utah. I felt like Colorado had a really good chance to win the Big 12 this year, but I forgot about Utah, who has to be the favorite. But I think that Colorado can be really good. And, if things play out, they can win 9 games. And who knows from there? I think this can be a really good team.
Major.
Yeah.
I got 6 or 7 wins, but 9 will put Deion over the top.
But I mean, we look at it. Is the Big 12 really that difficult now that Texas and Oklahoma are gone? Is it? I'm not saying it's a crappy conference, but I think it's wide open.
It's not the same.
Utah, right.
It's not the same, right?
Utah has to be a favorite, but I think that it's a wide open conference. Go ahead, Ryan. I'm sorry.
No, I was saying it's not the same conference. Whether if it's wide open or not, it's not. It's not the same. 2 teams are no longer in it.
Right. Yeah.
What about Dabo Swinney? I think he needs a good season.
Do you think he does?
I think he does. I like Dabo. I think they're quietly like, all right now, like it's been a minute.
Ever since they made that, what did they say when they won the Natty? If you wanna be the best or something, like come to Death Valley or something like that. Right. It was something about Death Row, and he was making it the pun from Suge Knight. Ever since that, it's been all downhill.
Yeah.
So
I think there's a couple of factors there.
That's a good one.
Dabo's made it clear he's not a fan of NIL. He's made it clear he does not want to use the transfer portal. And they lost Brent Venables, who I believe is the real unsung hero on those championship teams, because those defensive lines and those defenses they had were nasty. And then even still, they lost Tony Elliott, who's now the head coach of Virginia. So they lost the OC, they lost the DC. They don't like NIL, or Dabo doesn't like NIL. Dabo doesn't want to use the transfer portal. Like, what are we doing here? Everything that you need in order to be successful, you're adamantly against it. But to that point, Ryan, I don't think Dabo is a huge concern or under that much pressure, because he's got 2 national championships and 4 college football playoff appearances, right?
Yeah.
But what have you done for me lately?
Yeah.
Hey, I'm telling you, they ain't gonna care.
That's how it is.
After a couple of years, they're gonna be like, all right, man.
All right.
Somebody in here who's gonna be about the NIL, who's gonna be about the transfer portal, because guess what? All these big schools are beating us to death. And we're tired of losing. So you better get it right, man. I mean, I get your morals, but why you think Nick left? Nick found out, like, okay, now the plane is even now. I can't use my influence like I have for over the last 2 decades.
Right. That's a good point.
And Nick said, deuces. NIL? Okay, I'm out.
Before it get too crazy. Yeah. Before it get to the NFL.
Because he knows that Alabama's not one of them big money schools like them Texas, Oklahoma State. All them bros with them big pockets, them oil monies. Oh yeah, they come. Yeah. They come.
I hear you on that. Ryan, what do you think of my guy Marcus Freeman? What do you think he's under a lot of pressure? What do you think his the outlook for him, as Notre Dame head coach this season?
Yeah, I think there's natural pressure with being who he is. I think Notre Dame being a historic college football program, there's just the dynasty, the pressure that comes with that. So, I think it's just one of those jobs that's pressure filled, regardless of who it is. Those certain head coach jobs, the Lakers head coach job, or New England. Like there's just certain stuff. New York Jets. If you're in those areas, it's like Chicago Bears. Like that type of stuff is like that's pressure filled.
I hear you on that.
I hope he does well though. I like him.
Yeah, me too.
I'll tell you what, they lose against Florida State, he on that hot seat.
That's not gonna happen.
He
ain't gonna happen, Chapman.
Now I'll give y'all another one. I didn't think about this one because I've been hearing a lot of talk from these guys, and they've been doing okay. But now that it's open to 12 teams now, James Franklin, nobody ever talks about him no more.
Well, you know what? I was just thinking that, but he signed a 7-year extension.
Did he?
During this offseason, either during this past offseason or the previous one. He signed an extension. Yeah.
I thought about that. I'm like, damn, what team I know that's upstate? I'm like, and then Ryan just spoke about it. I'm like, freaking James Franklin, Penn State. I'm like,
Penn State, yeah.
Because they always it's always that 8-0.
And they're right there, right on the cusp.
It's like 9-1.
Yeah.
10-1, and then they're knocked out. So
okay, my bad. This was 2021. That long ago? He signed a 10-year, $75 million extension to stay with Penn State through 2031. Yeah. James Franklin. I don't know why they did that.
They'll play that 7 years out.
I don't know why they did that.
That's a lot.
But I was about to say, nowadays there's so much money in college football that these programs are firing coaches and eating the money if they think they can get somebody better in there. Look at A&M. They fired Jimbo with like $75 million left on his deal.
Easy day. I wish I would get hired onto a job.
Right.
That's offering me $100 million. $100 million.
Right.
I mess up in the first 2 years. They owe me $78 million. Hey man, bro, you good, but you're not gonna be able to be the coach for us no more. We're gonna pay you out for the next 10 years. What?
Chilling.
Say what?
Chilling, collecting those checks.
I can be on my couch doing nothing. What? I can do a podcast on the Format Podcast with Bruce and Ryan, and I'm getting $78 million.
Chilling, collecting checks.
But my bag is packed already, bro.
You already know.
I'm out.
Yeah.
I'm just
you already know.
Sport, G. Like that's nuts.
That's big money. Big money.
Crazy. Yeah, man. It's just so much money in college football now. But yeah, I think this season is going to be so interesting. And before we move on to these week one matchups, kind of something I wanted to get with Ryan at the end of last season. You and I talked about this a bit. Are you excited about the changes you're seeing as a result of realignment? Again, I know you're a Big Ten guy. And probably a more traditional Big Ten guy, but it's so different now. It's literally from Maryland to Oregon, you know what I'm saying? Coast to coast, which monetarily is smart because you can lock down an entire Saturday TV window, right? Because you got, let's say, Maryland and Penn State playing. You can have that at noon. And maybe you can have Michigan and Ohio State. I know they normally play at noon, but I'm just saying, you can have Wisconsin and Northwestern, and you got them playing at 12 o'clock, and then you got Iowa and Minnesota at 3, and then you go out west and you got USC and Oregon play. You know what I'm saying? So you can literally lock down the entire TV day. So there's a lot of money there. But what do you think in terms of maybe some of the traditions being lost, et cetera, and how much things have changed?
Yeah, well, I think change is always different, right?
Yeah.
It's difficult sometimes. But I like to think the traditions that were in place will stay there, even though that there's now new teams in the Big Ten, right? Like there's times when what was it? The ACC. There was conferences down there that changed, but Florida State rivalry is still the same. You know what I'm saying?
True.
Like there's certain things that are still going to be what they're going to be, even though teams are aligning. Yes, when they first said, "Hey, we're adding new teams to the Big Ten," I wasn't super thrilled. I wasn't thrilled about teams moving around the country just because I felt that was part of why college football was what it was, by how it was, area-wise, spatial arrangement, things like that. But new things are going to form, new rivalries are going to come up, and I'm interested to see what rivalries will now become with new teams, especially.
That's a great point. Yeah, because you've got some amazing games this season just in the Big Ten alone. You got Ohio State at Oregon. I think that's going to be an amazing game, right? Some really good stuff. I think Michigan plays Oregon, like some really good matchups. Michigan, USC. So. I mean, that's a great point that you may have some new and very interesting rivalries come out of the realignment and the addition and subtraction of certain teams.
Right. Yeah, plus the playoffs now with bigger playoff entry, and that's what that's going to do. So everything is there's a new level, there's a new excitement to it in my how I'm looking at college football now.
I agree. One thing I think I love, especially in the Big Ten, is the fact that they did away with the divisions. Because as long as you had divisions, Penn State was going to suffer. You know what I mean? Having to play Michigan and Ohio State every single season. So now they may have a year where they don't have to play either of them, and they get the benefit of kind of an easier schedule run, because they're a really good program, very talented, always really good defensively, et cetera, but they run into that situation where, okay, they run into the big boys and it's like, damn, we can't get over that hump, and that ends up keeping us out of the playoff. I think they said 6 of the last 8 years, if they had a 12-team playoff, Penn State would have been in. So now you've got that going on, and you have a situation where they might not have to play, you know, those two big boys every single season, and it could end up helping them out. Transformer, what are your thoughts on that, on the new Big Ten and realignment on the whole, not just the Big Ten?
James Franklin's job is on the line if he don't get it done this year. That goes back to what I said.
Wow.
We've been talking about Penn State for quite some time.
Mm-hmm.
They make it all the way to the end. It's always 8-0, 9-0, then all of a sudden it's that one game where it's like, what's going on with Penn State? Why can't they run the ball? Ain't that what y'all good at? Like, you can't run the ball. What's the all the white shirts in the crowd? You're nervous, you know. So you know, I mean, we don't like change. You know, we're not accustomed to change, but change is gonna happen, regardless whether we like it or not. You know, it's just, you know, changing your mind to the new mindset of what the NCAA has, you know, going on with the direction of whatever conference that they're going on with. But I mean, as far as the 12-team playoff thing is going to help a lot of teams, like you said earlier, Penn State, to, you know, make their way up in there, if they make their way up in there. Which
Notre Dame,
James Franklin, hot seat. Notre Dame, I believe they play Florida State this year, and I believe I think they lose 35-17. I think it's 35-17. I want to say. I've already looked into the future. Don't even worry about it. Don't even, you know,
write it down. Write it down.
Yeah, right. Hanging out with Nick in Australia. What's going on, man?
Yeah, no. 35-17. Florida State beats Notre Dame. So your coach is going to be on a hot seat.
Weren't you talking about trying to catch with cold hands earlier in this show? You were talking about that, right?
Yeah, but that's
you got to come to South Bend.
I didn't play D1.
Okay, my bad.
I didn't play for the Indianapolis Colts.
All right.
I didn't even play for the First Coast High School over here. Okay, I didn't even play for them. I played flag football for the military. That is it.
I hear you, man. I hear you. No doubt. No,
I will say, I did play flag football in Chicago for the military.
Okay,
that did suck. That did suck, because when it started getting around, I think it was November, and that weather it was like one day, man, we came out, it was practicing. It was like a good 70 degrees, 65, you know, nothing crazy in the shot time, right? You're like, oh man, we out there on the field, blah, 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 blah. Boy, when I tell you that next day, we came out there, I had my shorts on. I'm like, bro, we good.
Yep.
That's how it is up top, man.
I'm like, bro, hey, I'm playing running back today, bro. Who these bosses throwing me the ball? Just hand that thing off. I'm just gonna go, bro. I'm just gonna go. So
that's funny,
man. I get it.
No doubt. All right, let's take it to the final topic before we get out of here and let Ryan roll. We know he's a very busy man. Let's go to week one matchups, and let's talk about I guess maybe the key matchups each of us are looking forward to during week one. So you can see by the thumbnail the ones I'm looking forward to the most. Obviously, Notre Dame and A&M. I think that's going to be huge. Notre Dame has to go down to Aggie Land, to Kyle Field, deal with the 12th man, deal with the heat, deal with the humidity, something that's really, really difficult to prepare for, deal with an elite NFL caliber defensive line, especially having lost multiple guys on Notre Dame offensive line in terms of our starting left tackle out for the year with a torn pec, and the best left tackle that we've had in a while, Joe Alt. He's now playing with the Chargers and Coach Harbaugh. And so a lot going on. We have to deal with that. We have a new OC. We got a new quarterback in the transfer portal. We have Notre Dame. I shouldn't say we, the Irish. Let me say that. But yeah, that's one I'm definitely looking forward to. I see you, Transformer. Also looking forward to that Sunday, USC and LSU. I think that's going to be a really good game. Really anxious to see how Miller Moss, USC's quarterback, follows up on his 6 touchdown pass debut in the bowl game last year, and just see what Lincoln Riley is able to do now in the absence of Caleb Williams. We know if there's one thing that Lincoln Riley can do, it's coach up quarterbacks. And with the same token, the Heisman Trophy winner's gone from LSU, Jaden Daniels. So now they got this guy, Garrett Nussmeier, that everybody is really kind of excited about, saying that he may be one of the best kept secrets in college football at the quarterback position. Brian Kelly with the Tigers. And finally, of course, I think the noon game on Saturday is Clemson and Georgia. So another one really looking forward to, man. Some really good games. And you mentioned Dabo earlier, Ryan. So this is an immediate opportunity out of the gate to play the team that is ranked number 1 in preseason and the team that a lot of people have picked to win the national championship this year. So that's going to be a good one. Dabo's getting tested right away, right?
Oh, he getting cooked right away.
Filet,
deep fried. I think Georgia going to come out there because they're upset.
They're upset. They are
upset. They are like, look, why? We went undefeated.
Yep.
And we lost a close game against Bama, who already had a loss on their record. Close game. And you put us out for who? Okay, bet.
Yeah,
that's all Georgia's goes. Hey, bet. Who week 1? Who up?
Yeah, we'll see. So we started with you last time. I think, Ryan, let's start with you, Transformer. What games you looking forward to seeing this weekend? What do you think are going to be some good matchup? Say again?
Dabo getting cooked by 25. No, I'm just playing. No, but I mean, you put the marquee games up there. To be honest with you, I honestly want to see the LSU USC game. I think that's going to be a pretty good game.
I agree.
Being from Florida, Miami, Florida, you know, I need to see it.
Yeah.
You know, I want to see Miami lose, but either way, one of the Florida teams get to lose with us in the first week, so I get to talk my trash. But to be honest with you, I'll be like, no Florida Gator has said anything to me. You know, so I'm gonna be nice. I'm gonna be nice. You know, you guys didn't say anything about Florida State, so if you're watching this show, right? I'm talking mad crap if y'all get blown out. Okay, I am not.
I was about to say. This game would mean more to me if Florida was better. Like, I just don't expect much from the Gators at all this season. I think, wasn't it Billy Napier? Unfortunately, I think he's going to get fired. It would surprise me if he made it through the season because that schedule is nasty that the Gators got to deal with.
I'm just happy with one of them losing. I'm just happy with one of them losing. I mean, either way, you know, it's not going to end in a draw. So either one of them lose, I'm like, hey. Sucks to be you. You got an O and you got an L on your record already. You know what I mean? But other than that, I mean, the Notre Dame Texas A&M, that's gonna be a good one.
Yeah, Florida's got a tough back end schedule.
Yeah, that's what I was looking at.
Georgia, Texas, LSU, Ole Miss, Florida State. Like,
I mean, realistically,
they're looking at a 4 or 5 win season.
If UCF is good, it could start there. UCF, Tennessee, Kentucky, Georgia, Texas, LSU, Ole Miss, Florida State. Like that's a murderous row right there. I don't know how Billy Napier survives that, honestly. I guess he just wasn't ready for this job. He's a good coach, but he wasn't ready for this job.
That's gonna be tough. I mean, they could show up. They could show up because that's one thing about college football. Anybody can get hot and start playing, and it just happens. So we'll see. But on paper, they got a tough one on paper.
I agree.
Tough one on paper.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
All right, Ryan, let's go to you. What games are you looking forward to, man?
Of course, we're looking at Alabama over here. Alabama, Western Kentucky, Illinois, first game, Eastern Illinois versus Eastern Illinois.
Okay.
Y'all got a 31.5 point spread. What are you talking about? Y'all looking at that game?
Listen, we like to see how we come out. We are fans, true fans. Illinois, we going for the Big Ten championship. It's always a rough year. Everyone.
Wow. Okay. All right.
I like that.
You know, we going for it. Now, will we do it? The players got to make plays. But do I believe that they can do it? Absolutely.
The Illini alum talking, y'all.
Absolutely.
Speak it, Ryan.
We talked about Clemson and Georgia.
Yes.
And we talked about Florida, Miami. Those are really the ones that I'm looking at. I'm trying to think if there anyone else is on here. No,
you missed the biggest game of the weekend. You ain't even say it, but that's all right though. That's cool.
Which one? You touched all of them.
I'm just saying, you know, go Irish, you know.
Man, Texas A&M, y'all better, boy, listen.
Texas A&M can play though.
Man, listen, man. Yeah, they got a lot of talent. Remember all that talent Jimbo brought up? He got a lot of talent. He just didn't coach them right.
So what's our score prediction? Let me start with this. Georgia Clemson. What you got for score prediction?
I hadn't even thought about it.
We're going to win by 21 at least.
35-14. Yeah, that's kind of that's what I see.
Okay, so we all agree that Dabo going to get cooked, right?
Yeah, I can see it.
I think
that's all I needed.
Dabo, they'll make it to halftime. They're not going to get cooked.
It'll be like 17-7.
You're right. It's going to be a.
Then after that, it turns up.
Yeah, it can be manageable at halftime, and then Georgia's just going to enforce his will. Yeah,
okay.
That's what I would say.
Let's get to Ryan. I mean, he mentioned Florida and Miami too. What
Florida,
you got the score being?
I like Miami to win.
I like their quarterback,
Cam Ward.
Yeah, Ward's nice. That's a nice kid.
Let's not forget, and this is me because I love the running back position, which is, I know, antithetical to my wide receiver brother here. But Damian Martinez from Oregon State, he came to Miami in the transfer portal, and I think that was a huge pickup.
I don't know if I knew that. That's a huge pickup.
I did.
That's a huge pickup.
I did not.
And you know the O-line is going to block because why? Mario Cristobal is an outstanding O-line coach. You know, that's what he does. You know, so. Yeah.
So Miami 30-7. Got it. Just making sure we're on the same page.
That sounds like it could be about that for real.
I don't see how Florida can score. I mean, I do got Florida being very low scoring. Miami just doing what they want, and they just go to sleep in the fourth quarter.
That sounds about right, honestly.
They'll get a couple field goals. They'll get a couple.
I'm gonna let Ryan talk on this one. Notre Dame, Texas A&M.
Notre Dame gonna win. Texas A&M gonna put up a dog fight though.
Okay, so you got a dog fight.
I think Notre Dame gonna be able to pull it out.
Winning by how much? 7, 3, 10,
3.
11, 3. Okay.
Just get out with a win.
Are you saying 3, Bruce?
10.
Escape with a win. That's all we need, man.
Okay.
Yeah, it's gonna be tight, but they should pull it out.
Okay, I like that. I like that.
Touchdown or 2, at least 7. At least 7. It'll be 7.
So you think Notre Dame beats them by 7?
Fish.
Because they're in
so
Texas,
you think Mike Denbrock and Riley Leonard going to make that much of a difference, huh?
I think Notre Dame can do it.
I should hope so.
But
I'm concerned about the injuries on the offensive line dealing with an NFL caliber defensive line. They've
been talking about that all season too.
But I think the key though is, if you're Notre Dame, and not to let Notre Dame co-opt the show, I'll just say this real quick, is it's going to be play calling, not even necessarily the players, but the play calling. So like, how do you offset that a pass rush that's going to be coming, screens and, quick stuff and the quick game and, maybe some draws and delays and, you got to figure out something. And if the guys are flying off the edge, you got to be able to go up the middle. So we'll see what the guard center guard combination can do for the Irish. But yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry, I can.
No, you good.
No, you good. That's it.
All right. So we got Notre Dame winning by 7 or 3. Okay, easy day. USC, LSU.
That's tough. LSU. Yeah.
LSU?
Is it at LSU?
But no, it's in Las Vegas. It's in Vegas.
That helps.
Is it in Vegas?
It's in Vegas.
USC by 3.
USC, but I still think
USC 3.
So the only problem for me where I have a hard time calling this, because USC's defense has been bad, but they got D'Anton Lynn, Anthony Lynn. His son is the new Deco now. But what is it? LSU, they had a historically bad defense last year as well. So now you get an offensive genius like Lincoln Riley calling these plays, and they might be able to take advantage of that. But can they deal?
The only one. Okay.
But can they deal with LSU's physicality though? You know what I mean?
That's what I don't.
Yeah, that's why I think this game is a pick 'em.
Oh yeah, it's a 4.5 point spread.
There you go.
LSU by 4.5. Yeah, that's not a lot.
Not a lot at all.
Pull out a go. I think they can do it. Opening week. We don't know what LSU is about. Y'all don't have
they on the West Coast. They in our place. You're right.
Yes.
You're right.
I didn't think about that at the time.
7:30 prime time, ESPN.
Yes.
You're right.
Yes.
That's Sunday night, right?
Reggie Bush got his trophy back. We hype.
I think that's
Who next? You gonna get it this year?
We getting it.
Yeah,
Make
that's
it like
Sunday night.
he wants to
Okay,
be
cool.
Heisman this year.
Good.
Yeah.
All right.
That's a good game too. Good call.
I think so.
Other than that, those are the big ones. Those are the big ones this week.
Very nice. Very nice.
That did not come out right.
I know how you get down, man. You look like you need the No Diddy shirt this week, huh?
Shout out Man Down Sports every time.
Shout out Man Down
Sports. Okay. No Diddy tees.
No Diddy shirts. I was actually online looking for that. That's another story. I was looking for one.
You know what? I got my girl Malia. She could make them for us, man.
We need those.
Get some. I'm gonna go ahead and get some.
Facts.
Like,
No doubt. Oh man. All right, gentlemen. Well, Ryan, man, so good to have you back in the fold, brother. So good.
Glad
to have you on here and just talk some college football, man.
Absolutely.
Transformer, you already know what it is, my brother.
Always, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah. So what we're going to do, we're going to leave it right here. This has been great talking college football, and you can look forward to this weekly for the remainder of the season because this is what we do. This is the Format Podcast, and we talk sports. It ain't just hoops. It's not just LeBron and Jordan. No. We got a whole lot more in the chamber than that. So, NFL season's coming up. We're going to dig into that as well. Transformer, myself, G, whoever else we might get to come on and join us during the season. Got a lot of stuff, in store for you guys. So if you haven't already, please make sure you go ahead, click that like, that subscribe, and that notification bell, and share the show. That share button is extremely powerful, man. Do that for us. All right. We're going to leave it right here. We'll be back with you next time. Not sure when because, Saturday night, the Irish are playing. So I gotta miss out on y'all for that game, man.
My gosh, you see, he picks the Irish before you guys. All right, the viewers, the public, the love, the supporters. Jesus, where is his loyalty lie, guys?
I picked the Irish over you guys because I want to give you guys my full attention when I'm on the show. And I'm telling you now,
flip it. Okay,
Saturday night, September 21st, I won't be doing the show either. G and Transformer might be running that one because I will be in South Bend with my son for his first game at Notre Dame. So
shout out, big shout out.
Yeah. So
little baritone Bruce, get out there and do your thing.
Absolutely. So we're gonna go out and enjoy that one. So but we definitely got some good stuff to look forward to, y'all. So we're gonna leave it right here. And we'll be back with you next time. And we out. Peace.